Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I want to first of all, thank Solace for the opportunity to take part in this exciting event. I am Bill Beards, the president of BCC Group. Let me start by introducing my company and myself. I've been in the IT industry for about 30 years, working at companies like Citibank, IBM, and I also work for Solace. And now I work for BCC Group. BCC Group is a 20-year-old company that has been working on the trading floors of European financial institutions for that period of time. They have been building platforms, and they've been working with the cloud for many, many years. They were experts in the private, public, and hybrid cloud. Solace actually is a big part of our solution, and they're one of our strongest partners. Our flagship product, the One Platform, is built on top of Solace's event streaming and management platform capabilities. Let's start by looking at the different industries that are involved with event data architectures. As you can see, the market is very broad. Whether you're a telecommunications company looking to track service usage, or a healthcare company watching over patient care, a transportation authority monitoring schedules, a financial services company tracking markets and making investment decisions, everyone has a need for real-time reliable data. And this need is growing exponentially as the requirements around analytics and predictive analytics grow. Easy access to data needs to be simple as turning on the faucet at your home or turning on your favorite television show. When you try to access this data is when the challenges begin. The providers of the data control what can and cannot be done technically, and this is bringing business leaders to their knees. Data is too difficult to access and too expensive to acquire. Many companies just pay the bill and live with it. At BCC Group, we think the cloud is rapidly bringing these hard days to an end. You are living in a world not of your own design, and that needs to change. So what we all know too well. We all know that connectivity is complex and restrictive. We know that how difficult it is in an on-premises world to connect different applications together, different systems together. We also know that the external providers of data, regardless of the industry, make it difficult for us to work with them. And often there's a lock-in that's created by that. We know that prices are too high and they're growing too quickly, and sometimes at 5 or 10% growth annually. We know that regulatory issues are constraining and our ability to be fluid. We know that permissioning is very important. We need to be able to address challenges that come to us from a compliance standpoint. There are way too many APIs. Managing the APIs and all the APIs that come in, it makes our life way too difficult. Data types and formats are expanding exponentially as well. And business leaders are struggling to get access to the data they need. The cloud providers are also too broadly focused. They are also too broadly focused on too many different industries, and they lack the expertise in many cases to what's required at an industry level. So what do we need, right? We definitely know that every single transaction is important. Every single transaction counts. No matter whether it's a financial transaction or what it may be, every single transaction is critical for us to get processed. An architecture must begin with a neutral platform. We have to begin in a world where your platform is neutral to all the data that's flowing through it. Data access must be universal and flexible. We don't need to be locked in to one data provider or another, or one source of data or another. Cloud has to be a baseline for this architecture. Cloud has got to be used because it's ready, and it has to be ready for us to use it. Permissioning needs to be neutral, and it needs to support data dissemination around the environment. It needs to be fully permissioned. We need to know that all the data is under control. The middleware must be fast and reliable and secure. We must make sure the middleware is there for us and is always working for us. Connectivity must be secure, and it must be encrypted, and that's what's critically important. And availability must be 99.99%. It must be available all the time, no matter what. And migration to the digital world must be simplified. And cloud makes that migration to the digital world that much easier. So let's start with a use case of financial security, a space that we all know all too well in our own personal lives. Financial security is in the mind of every individual every single day. Investment performance is tantamount to our everyday lives. All industries are focused on financial data. All industries are focused on getting data quickly and easily. Data drives all the analytics that we're doing in our businesses, as well as with our own decisions about our futures. Investment decisions are made when the market moves. Market data is at the core of every single decision we do, and market data is what we're going to talk about now. Market data, for those who don't know and are comfortable with it, are things like stocks, bonds, currencies, cryptocurrencies, and commodities. These are the things that make up all the investment decisions that we make, and what makes market data so important. Market data needs to be fast, it needs to be reliable, it needs to be there when we need it, no matter what's going on with the industry. So where does market data come from? Market data comes from places like Refinitiv and Bloomberg. These are the key consolidators of data that are out there. The ICE is a good provider of market data, as well as Morningstar. Exchanges such as the New York Stock Exchange, CME, Singapore Stock Exchange are all big providers of market data. They also are important to have connectivity to them. Brokers such as TPICAP, Tradition, and Cantor Fitzgerald and BGC are all key areas that provide data as well. All of these folks are coming together to bring data into investment into financial institutions. All of this data needs to be ingested and permissioned and made available when needed by the different organizations. And that's why this is so important. That's why this foundational cloud event-driven architecture is so important. So why is this a problem? There's too many pieces of data that is out there today. Disparate data sources are coming from all over the globe. The velocity of the data is incredibly important, and the winners are the ones that have the data as fast and securely as possible. The volume of real-time data and historical data is growing exponentially. I mean, there's so much more data being made available from other geographies, and new exchanges being opened up on a regular basis. That's why this data is so important. Also, data coming from internal organizations as well for contribution and other things is also exponentially growing too. The price of data is growing double digits. I mean, this is a $32 billion industry, and it's growing every year by double digits. And the data consumers, the data providers are often have you locked in because you're using a platform that locks them in. The instrument types are growing. I mean, if you're familiar with the commodities business, you know how fast these instruments change and grow in the futures, how these instruments change and grow. Something very important for us to remember about the exponential growth of this type of data. And clients want the best of breed solution all the time. And it's very hard to have the best of breed data source when you're locked in to a certain provider for your data. So this is what makes market data such a great example for this situation. So let's talk about an architecture that makes sense, right? The architecture should definitely allow you to bring data in from many different sources. It should be a single platform. It should be based on a single platform. In our solution with the BCC One platform, we leverage Solace because we know Solace has the capability of giving us the middleware performance that we need. You need to be able to subscribe to any data you want to get access to, and you need to be able to publish also fully permissioned any data that you want to permission. The cloud has got to be central. It's got to be central to everything you're doing. The only way you're going to be able to have the true fluidity that you're looking for in the marketplace is to be working in the cloud. Permissioning, as I mentioned before, needs to be central. It needs to be managed at the application level as well as at the user level. There will be challenges from the market. There will be challenges from exchanges about what data you're using and what data you're using when. And that's why permissioning is so very important. Encryption in the cloud is very important. I mean, with market data, with any kind of data, getting data in and out of the cloud from on-prem applications to the cloud platforms and to the cloud data sources, encryption becomes incredibly important to avoid intrusion into your environment. And failover needs to be automated. I mean, you cannot, the challenges with failover when you're working with an on-prem world are well known. And this is an opportunity for the cloud to certainly streamline that by allowing you to work within zones within one city where you're located, where your business is located. It allows you to work between two different zones in two different regions of the world. It allows you to work cross-cloud if you'd like to do that. So failover becomes a lot more straightforward when you're working in the cloud. Let's talk about the cloud a minute. So a lot of the industries have been moving to the cloud fairly rapidly. Financial services has not been moving as quickly. And a lot of this has to do with regulation and the regulation concerns that they have around the cloud. But 83% of the financial institutions now say their strategy involves going to the cloud. 69% say the majority of their workload will be in the cloud within 2 years. And 66% say the cloud needs to be part of their real-time analytics and predictive analytic outcome analysis. You can see up on top, the #1 item is best of breed platforms for service options. This is the critical thing. They want to make sure they've got the best of breed technology for them to be able to do what they want to do with their business. They're focused on cost savings. Clearly, the cloud has a huge value when it comes to cost savings. Moving from an on-prem world to a cloud world is certainly a huge savings for them. I mentioned before about disaster recovery. That also gets improved dramatically, and these are results coming from this survey. They want to avoid lock-in, right? Very important. They want to have better performance, and they want to make sure latency is preserved. In all the studies we've seen and all the analysis that we've done, the cloud is quick as the on-prem solutions. No, we're not talking about ultra low and high frequency, but most of the market, 98% of the business that is done with market data, the cloud, the speed coming out of the cloud is completely perfect, and there's not a problem there. So Harvard Business Review and IDG are telling us that everybody's going to the cloud. This is something we need to all be doing. It's something we all need to be focused on. So how do we get from here to there? Well, as I mentioned before, you need to start with a platform-centric architecture. You need to have a central platform in which all of your data is flowing through. You can't have several different platforms. You can't have several different APIs. You can't have several different permissioning systems. You got to have one central platform running in the cloud. You've got to incorporate proper event-driven architecture principles. And that's something you can work on very closely with us as well as with Solace. You need to adapt the microservice design. The world of building these big behemoth applications and big behemoth functions are over. We really need to be neutral. We need to be light on our feet, and we need to be able to make changes, and we need to make sure that when things go wrong, that it doesn't take down our entire environment. So being a microservice design is incredibly important. You need to engage your cloud teams and assess your readiness. This is a big step. We need to make sure that your team is ready for the cloud. And this involves working very closely with your cloud providers. It involves working very closely with your platform providers, whether it's internally or whether it's coming from a third party. But the cloud teams need to be ready for the cloud. Also, the cloud providers need to be ready. We need to make sure that they are talking our language, that they understand what we're doing. In the case of market data, we need to make sure they understand market data thoroughly. And that's what makes that so important. And the thing to do is to contact BCC or contact Solace, and we'll give you some guidance there. So what's the payoff of all this? Well, you're going to dramatically downsize your infrastructure. I mean, you're going to be turning off servers. You're going to be disconnecting lease lines. You're going to be saving a ton of money on edge devices. This is a big value benefit to you and a huge simplification. You're going to be reducing connectivity costs. You're going to be reducing resource costs. There's going to be headcount savings that are involved with this. You're going to improve your service you're going to create competitive environments for data vendors. You're going to make sure that they're competing with each other now, and they're competing to win your business, whether it be on price or whether it be on service. They're going to be competing. You need expanded data access at a lower cost. You need to make sure that you can get more and more data more and more easily at a lower cost. You need to be able to publish and subscribe and fully track everything. So it isn't just a matter of subscribing to data, but it's a matter of publishing your data as well, fully permissioned, and it needs to be tracked and reported properly. You need to have high quality analytics. I mean, all of this data is ultimately going to a place that's going to be building analytics for your company. And we always say more data from more sources, more easily, more enlightened. And that's what we talk about when we talk about analytics. You need to improve the margin for your existing data sales, because today you're paying way too much money to way too many people to make your data available in the market. And you need to focus on building out new revenue streams, which will make more money for your company. So I think cost savings is certainly a priority, and you want to make sure you do the cost savings first. You want to make sure you create some value from the data providers and you can reduce your costs there. But ultimately, the new revenue streams are the things that we find most exciting, and you'll find the most exciting as well, I'm sure. I want to invite everybody to our webinar that's coming up next month. We're going to be talking about the cost of cloud. We're going to be talking about the reliability and the security of the cloud. We're going to be talking about reducing the cost of market data ultimately on June 2nd. And we're going to be talking about how you can monetize your data better. And this will be something that we're going to be working on. This is a community where we're building a community around these activities with market data. And we're going to be inviting you to join, and please reach out to us so you can join what we're doing. I want to thank everybody for joining me today and to hear more about event-driven architecture, and also about what things need to happen in order to make the cloud work well for you. We think the cloud is a key enabler for all industries, and we look forward to being part of your journey. Following this presentation, you're going to be able to ask some questions, so we look forward to hearing your questions. We'll be available live to answer any things you might want to hear more about, and feel free to reach out to me. My email address is here, my phone number is here, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much again.